everything I've done, it also always started with first step. And that first step was always so small and tiny that it felt totally irrelevant. And the story I want to share, again, not so much the story at the top of Mount Everest, but the story of the process, of the journey. What happens in between that first step, which is always the toughest step to take? Any runners in the room? There's got to be a few. Awesome. What's the toughest thing when you run your first marathon? It's not the marathon. It's to sign up. This is the hardest thing because you commit to something that is not possible today, and that is crazy scary. So what happens in between that first step and then the last step? And on Mount Everest, the last step is not the summit. The summit is the half mark. You need to come down, ideally. True, very true. The process. You have to be in love with that process. So my dream when I ran across Canada, I wanted to be in Vancouver on World Diabetes Day, November 14th. So if you do the math, if you leave St. John's, Newfoundland, and you can run across, so it takes a while, and then you want to be across the country mid-November, when do you need to start? February. From St. John's, Newfoundland. So day one was magical. 2 years in the making. Huge project. $500,000 project. It was hard. It was hard to build, to sell. By the way, I was in sales for 10 years. $500,000 sponsorship, unsolicited. Unsolicited. Took 2 years to close. You know how we did it? We never talked about money. We led with the why, with the mission, with the legacy we wanted to leave behind. And at some point, one of the sponsors said, if we want to be one of the leaders in diabetes care in Canada, we cannot not be a part of it. How much do you want? Lead with your heart. Lead with the why and the mission. This is what people buy. So, day one was magical. A bunch of kids, all living with type 1 diabetes, wearing the same pump. They're 10 years old, they're about this big. They're gonna run the first kilometer with me in a symbolic way. Everybody has a huge smile on their face. And I can't forget that day. And I was thinking to myself, this is a dumb idea. This is gonna hurt a lot, and soon, and for a very long time. And I want to show you a quick video. Literally, that's what gave me the courage to cross that starting line. In all of Eastern Canada, I had Thomas in mind when I took that first step. I was scared, but I thought that the cost of not trying was going to be greater than the cost of failing. And I know that this is how you feel sometimes. This is how I felt many times in sales sometimes. We're scared. Targets are big. You have big dreams for yourself, for the organization. The cost of not trying. What's the cost of inaction, which is always way worse than the cost of imperfection? We'll fix things. We'll make things better. But inaction is very dangerous. So I took that first step with Thomas in mind. And you know what? I was committed. I was committed. Commitment is great. Create irreversible commitments for yourself. That happens after you cross the starting line, not before. For 2 years, I've been asked, Sébastien, is this going to work? Should we invest our money with you? And honestly, I didn't know if it was going to work. It was a good question. The minute I took that first step across the starting line, That question, is it possible, was irrelevant. The only answer I had to provide every single day consistently was how I was going today possible, today work. And if you just do today well, sometimes, tomorrow, and what it means, it happens a lot quicker and a lot easier. But you just make today happen, you do it well. Here's the first step in the Sahara. So I'll give you a little more details about that race. 250 kilometers in 5 days in the Sahara. Temperatures up to 40, 45 degrees every single day. You run on sand. Now the tough part about the race is self-supported. So not only you supply your gear and your food, you carry it. So Monday morning when you start the race, you wear a backpack on your shoulder that weighs about 20-25 pounds. The Times Magazine, pretty credible, they've got this race in their top 10 of the toughest endurance races on the planet. So trust me, fit people show up. And I'm like, hey guys, I suck in sports. Hope you're having a good day. Of all those very fit people, historically, 30% do not finish the race. You have to start. You want to create wealth, achieve peak performance. Sometimes, very much like in this race, you have to start and accept you don't have all the answers. And those answers, what I've learned, will be provided to you after you cross the starting line. The journey provides a lot of the answers, not just training. And another great first step, I've had the honor to take Mount Everest Base Camp. And when you talk about Mount Everest, people want to hear about this summit. What did you see? Did you cry? How did you feel? I don't remember it much. It hurts a lot. I remember that step, that first step above base camp. When I was a kid, when I was climbing in trees with big dreams, that's what I was thinking about. I wanted to climb the biggest mountain on the planet. It is a 2 months long climb. You're away from home for 3 months. I took a step above base camp. Absolutely no guarantees I was going to summit. Actually, you're a lot more likely not to summit. I took a first step above base camp. This was 10 years ago. I get goosebumps telling the story right now. I was climbing Mount Everest, and this was my biggest dream. Love the process.